Welcome everybody to Triton-Cup 149. We've skipped the beginning of the tournament to only show you the juicy part, the part where the top teams, the best teams are there to fight. I am Pat, here with Rocket, and we're going to start right away with the upper bracket finals.
Yes, we have Lemonade versus Epitaph there for winners bracket finals. Going to be going in very shortly. I believe we're about T-minus 20 seconds away from loading in to see that. But very quick introduction for both these teams. Lemonade, your usual suspects of a combination of Easy MD and Fruitella pickups. Epitaph, a well-developed team in their own rights. Both teams looking on to move into grand finals. Looking at these comps already, Lemonade booth. Or not Lemonade booth, Lemonade. Do my eyes deceive me? 3 bows starting off on Mahi zones.
That's the show of confidence. That's going to be a lot of paint on the ground, provided Lemonade can keep Epitaph at bay. But I mean, between the sprinklers and the super chumps, there's going to be so much repainting power all of the time by Lemonade.
Constantly applying that pressure, constantly applying that artillery fire. And kind of speaking of which, here come the chumps as well to just constantly provide that paint that you see here's just picking off players left, right, and center for Epitaph. And they are in control of the zone now. Lemonade is, as they are actually wiped out, as still not a clear victor has been decided in this mid area. Typical for these zone type of maps, but either side just trying to see if they can get any form of foothold.
Yeah, especially since Lemonade just lost their one frontliner. Now the only thing that can push forward is the super jumps, and here they come, so many projectiles thrown forward. But it looks like Epitaph are unfazed and are able to simply hold their ground, not let Lemonade move forward.
And now nearing that 40-point mark, this is where you're kind of thinking of 1 or 2 retakes left if you're on the side of Lemonade. With that one going down early and already losing your gallons 3, it is now desperation time. 20 ticks left in that zone area. Bows not really the best weapon at retaking, especially if you have 3 of them, so a lot of pressure is going to be on that gal to make their way in. But as players fall, as Acing just camping down this left side, as they do with that Luna Blaster, an easy game 1 will be taken by Epitaph.
You have to respect Epitaph. You can't. You can pull that against a bottom seed of a tournament when you're the level of Lemonade, but against Epitaph, you have to bring your A game. You have to bring a comp that makes sense. Triple bows is not the move. Yeah,
and from what I've seen as well, from what Lemonade has been able to do, we know these players. That was a little bit of just having a little bit of fun, as you mentioned before we even had started that game, but we know they have the abilities to actually play some actual weapons. We've seen them experiment with some other comps before, as our map mode picks is in, being Splat Zone's Hammerhead for Lemonade to take advantage of. We've seen 2 different looks, I believe, from Lemonade, at least from what I have been eyeing. Remember, I believe on Robo Ramen, I was able to take a peek at their stream. They were running a 96 gal, regular gal, and a ballpoint spot link for that range. But they also have the flexibility to go with some more common weapons that we've seen now been on the rise, has been in the public eye for a while, being the heavy splatling and blaster combination, which both can provide their own strengths and weaknesses against this very strong Epitaph team.
Yeah, I mean, now Lemonade knows they have to play serious. I can tell you they're going to switch to more regular weapons. And going onto this map, onto Hammerhead Bridge, they're still going to try to play for range. They'll have a much better view of their opponents as their opponents try to run at them, try to cut the distance, which is quite often the game plan for Epitaph. And here, it's kind of hard to move forward because the map is so open, Rocket.
And we do see Lemonade now with a little bit more of a semblance of a comp here. Still a bit unusual with double gal and the red dapples, but it shows a very aggressive front into fighting into Epitaph's comp. So it's going to be a very short range and brutal fight for every step of the way. With you see 6 close range weapons across the board, with either side only having 1 backline. No real midline in play here. So a lot of these really skirmishy fights are going to happen as Acing just tries to go for that heavy spelling. Does manage to find a trade out of it in that backside, but yet again, similarly to game 1, no side has really gotten a strong foothold in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, and these 2 girls are going to play for their mobility. They know they can get the risk. Thanks to the dapples, thanks to the beacons that is provided to them on this map, having beacons is so useful because it's so long. The crab tank is activated by Epitaph. That will allow them to maybe reclaim some space, but it doesn't look like it. There's always a gal to the side to punish somebody. And they're not stopping Rocket.
And that's just the snowball ability that gals have, let alone having 2 of them that are coolered and has that backline heavy support to play around them as well. It gives them so much space to really work around. Acing with that pick on the left side might change things, but they are traded out. Yet another goes down on either side here, but still strong paint control from Lemonade just because that heavy splat link staying so alive. I believe that's Kiki on that heavy splat link, just trying to constantly apply that paint, but finally Epitaph have found a little bit of a foothold. We do typically expect to see lopsided holds on a map such as Hammerhead, which doesn't have that many different alleyways you can kind of go with, so Epitaph's time to maybe now put on that same hurts that Lemonade was just doing to them.
Epitaph just got a great team fight, but because of the cooler and the beacons, Lemonade is already back in position and they're already pushing in with everything they've got now. 2 down onto Epitaph. Can Epitaph hold the zone? No, it looks like penalty is going to be applied, and Lemonade is all around to keep the chaos going, and the chaos is in their favor, Rocket.
Yeah, Pat, and both sides now have gotten their licks in, have gotten their initial punches in, but now this is where the game really truly starts. Really, who's able to control that flow more. Of course, the specials, each micro fight is going to come down to your moments. Maybe somebody not getting a trade or somebody finding 2. It all can snowball very, very quickly. This crab, yet again, like you were mentioning earlier, has been the key for Epitaph to control the waves, and you see it there snipe out Pablo as well. Very nice to keep Epitaph in control. With now them out of this penalty, we could see a very quick lead switch here. Not really that many specials on the side of Lemonade to retake with, but Acing is down pretty early, so a 3v4 retake is very much possible.
This is very close. Lemonade denying the lead are coming in, and they're getting the splats as well. Because Epitaph don't have beacons, they're very much relying on their backline to provide the jumps right here. Now they activate the cooler. Now they'll be able to push back in. The big question is, can they push back to the zone before more points are scored by Lemonade, Rocket?
That is the biggest question. Both sides, yet again, still controlling these waves, really playing with their coolers, playing to their specials. Initial pick going into the favor of Epitaph. 2 down now, yet again in an advantageous position, just waiting for that incoming retake that Lemonade is going to have to get in order for them to maintain this lead. Acing setting themselves up really nicely on this left side. Hammer in hand. Hammer is available, waiting for the perfect opportunity, trying to see if they can struck anybody out, but not quite being able to hit the mark on one of those gals. Now penalty points no longer a factor. Heavy splatling on that right side for Lemonade, just trying to see if they can paint over. They do manage to take that zone, surprisingly not with much resistance on the side of Epitaph to really halt them, and yet again Epitaph forced in a difficult position to where they need to get that control of their zone, and it's not gonna it's gonna happen soon because you only got a minute left in this match.
Yeah, and that is 2 down onto Epitaph. Lemonade still with the same plan going in. That trade on the pencil is going to be very, very rough for Epitaph, but Epitaph is in the fight, is around the zone. Can they camp the zone? They don't have much time, 15 points left.
And not a lot of time ticking down. The gal finds one onto the pen, and that might just do it there. It's a little bit more aura farming to boot as well. The double gal Dapple comp, just too much aggressiveness for Epitaph to really take advantage of as Lemonade equal things up in Game 2 with their ability, showing us their ability that they have the ability to beat anyone, anytime, and with whatever comp they can bring. Of course, Triple Bow might have been a little bit too much, a little bit more they can chew there, but that aggressiveness definitely showed for Lemonade when the time mattered most. And what was impressive that I found out that we really saw illustrated several times was Lemonade was often put on the back foot when Epitaph was able to get a 2-player or multiple player down and get a hold on the zone. Retakes are very hard to do in general, especially on Hammerhead, but it felt like time and time again, Lemonade found the key picks that they needed, whether it be on acing or just finding anybody. When they had a 4v3 advantage, they pushed it immediately and were able to retake the zone in a very short amount of time before Epitaph could get really meaningful points.
I mean, they really, in Game 1 we saw Lemonade do stupid things. In Game 2 they really brought the tools for the map. This map is incredibly long. They had the beacons. This map is very wide open. You quite often are missing covers. They had 252 girls. That's 2 walls and a lot of swim speed that allowed them to really constantly be in every fight and still be safe. They played this map very, very well. Now, we are going to Epitaph's map pick. That will allow Epitaph to maybe get a bit more composure, to be the ones to use the map to its maximum. And they are going to have to use the map to its maximum. They already got an upset to make it here to the upper bracket finals. Now we're going to Urchin Underpass. There will be more fights coming. There will be a lot more fights, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Lemonade bring back the Dapples, because on here, it's one of the best weapons, honestly.
Yeah, and looking at this map with that knowledge, I wouldn't be surprised either if Lemonade pretty much kept their same comp because of how close quarters this map is in terms of the zone. Double Gal still brings that advantage of having the double wall. Of course, heavy splatling, always nice to use, but especially on a map that it kind of favors splatlings more, you typically don't really see that many chargers kind of played on Urchin just because of the difficult positionings it can bring in terms of that aggressiveness. I can definitely see Lemonade's comp actually going well into Epitaph's counterpick, but I'm sure Epitaph has their own plans for the reasoning why they picked this map. Of course, they have their own Gal, they have that Crab, and of course they have acing on that Lunar Blaster to really take advantage of. So I think it's just a more of a confidence pick in terms of what Epitaph loves to play more. We'll hopefully see it play out for them if they want to keep things in their favor as we move on to Game 3.
Yeah, and that's more Dapples on the side of Lemonade, and more Dapples also on the side of Epitaph. Everybody is bringing the pairing of the Dapples and the heavy splatlings is becoming kind of a signature of this map. These are the weapons you're going to see, because Pencil on here is not as effective.
Yeah, just constantly having weapons to fight everywhere is going to be the key. You already see them just jumping around everywhere trying to see if they can find some advantage, but Epitaph do have that first control of the zone, kind of not really surprising because this is their map pick, so you see that built-in confidence that they have to already push the favor, already push that aggressiveness, and now it is Lemonade's turn to see if they can get in that retake. You've seen them have that success previously in that match, but in that Hammerhead match, but will it continue over here? We'll have to see here, as you're already a little bit of a distraction happening on this left side. 2 players on that Gauss. I believe that was a pick on with the wall.
Yeah! The wall got a splat. We don't see that every day, but Epitaph still fighting around the zone. Both teams fighting for the control. The penalty is not that important for now because we're still early in the game. Whoever is able to keep control over mid will have a great opportunity to score more points, and right now it looks like Epitaph are very much able to hold their ground. All Lemonade did was apply a bit of penalty, and look, that penalty is almost done.
Yeah, you Sting does go down pretty early, though, and has been a stalwart for what Epitaph's trying to do in terms of holding that zone. Reef Slider going in, very much able to cap that zone, but not really being able to do much else is Lemonade, as they are quickly shut down. Really kind of only stalling the inevitable here, as those penalty points will surely go away, as yet again, Lemonade still have to retake. Acing does have that hammer available. No other specials really on the board. That whale is going to disappear for the side of Lemonade, so now retaking without any specials is going to be a tough task to do. A small zone. Now finally that Reef Slider does come online for M, but yet again, same story where all it does is recap that zone, but it's not really do much else. It just provides that penalty for Epitaph that they will retake with.
It feels like Lemonade has been struggling to really do something to push Epitaph out, so they had to apply penalty over and over, but finally they're able to find the way in to push their opponent out. But they're still fighting on the zone. That's not where you want to fight. They're kind of forced out, and right there, it looks like Lemonade are able to secure their surrounding, even though Acing is behind them.
Yeah, but now I feel like a little bit of a mistake on the side of Epitaph's part was fighting too hard to see if they can get in something on that left side, as now it takes them too long to get back into that zone with the lead already switched back into Lemonade's favor. Now a lot of pressure on the side of Epitaph to make that move. Jump surely will be camped. Zone quickly flips, but still damage has been done. That Reef Slider won't get much, so M forces to jump to live to fight another day. Penalty points yet again no longer a factor. Cap from behind, however, as Lemonade still begrudgingly will not give up the zone. Very small zone reminder, so it doesn't take much to contest it, which will mean these close quarters fights will mean a lot. You see this gal getting that aura, could go for the quadfecta, not being able to quite yet, as Yoshi still holds firm on that left side. Still though, we see this back and forth, kind of expected to see on Urgent Underpass.
Yeah, I mean, Lemonade still has the lead, but there's so little penalty on Epitaph now, because penalty has been applied so many times. They don't have much left to go through. And Lemonade keeps repainting the zone, but every time you repaint the zone, it's a bit less effective. Right now, Epitaph are happy to play a back and forth, over and over. Look, there's only a few points of penalty each time. And every single time Lemonade, all they're doing is going in, try to repaint, it's not working! Epitaph still have control, they're gonna get the lead this time.
And Acing's hammer is going to be very key here, if you can at least provide one. Not being able to provide much does chip some members of Lemonade, but now is the time to move in if you're on the side of Lemonade. Time ticking out. Reef Slider's not quite available, and does go down there as well, so that Reef Slider not available for the retake won't matter, as Lemonade is able to retake without it. That could have been very scary, as that is really, I think, the key factor and the key edge that Lemonade does have, is that Reef Slider providing so much paint and providing so much spacing ability. 20 ticks left. Penalty not really that much on the side of Lemonade here, so you really have one final retake for Epitaph for it's all. Coming down to the final seconds of this, we will certainly go into overtime. Acing does fall pretty early, but now is the time to go in. Two specials to retake from both sides. That Reef Slider Heatley is available for M here, and here is overtime. Time running out now. 2 ticks remaining, but from the left side, under the noses of Lemonade, Epitaph sneak in and cap the zone.
That's all you need. Just one cap right when the clock says it's over. Epitaph gets their victory, and they are now up 2-1. And this one, that's not a victory against Lemonade playing triple bow. That's a victory against Lemonade playing a very aggressive comp, playing very dangerous weapons, but Epitaph is able to get the lead. They are now one game away from Grand Finals.
You sort of gotta get that little feeling as well that in that game one, when you pick those 3 bows, you think Lemonade is starting to regret that a little bit, especially if it does go into Epitaph's favor. Of course, maybe sweating a little bit here if you're on the side of Lemonade, but I'm not one to doubt these players on the side of Lemonade, but Epitaph has shown their strong resilience. Like I mentioned there, we had 2 specials on either side. Lemonade did have the tools to potentially stop Epitaph, but all it took was one little flank on the sides to get control of that zone, a zone that is so small, and we will return to Barnacle and Dime zones, a very, very more common map compared to Urchins and Hammerheads. So I'm sure these teams do have those game plans in mind. We should see the return of that crab for Epitaph as well, a very strong crab map to constantly apply that pressure, similarly to what we saw in Hammerhead.
I mean, we're back to a flat map, we're back to an open map, which is the kind of map that Lemonade seems to like a bit more and Epitaph seems to like a little bit less. So yeah, these crabs on the side of Epitaph that we saw be so important, especially on Hammerhead Bridge, they're going to be key once again. Meanwhile, Lemonade, they're probably going to bring back more chaos and more gals to bring that chaos.
Yeah, Gal, such a strong slaying weapon to apply that spacing pressure as well, and a weapon that you have to constantly keep an eye on. But we see pretty much every single match that Lemonade has somewhat altered their comp in one shape or another. So let's see if there is going to be that adaptation before here. We have a change from Pablo to the bucket, as well as that pro to have another crab on the board. Epitaph still sticking to their guns, and Nil going over to that heavy edit to still provide that cooler, but we will have a crab v crab here in terms of those specials.
Yeah, I mean, crab tank on this map, it's so powerful, it was to be expected. It looks like it's Epitaph opening pretty strong right here. They like that opening. They're not able to take control of their opener and spawn, but they're still able to really push everybody out. Now all the pressure is on Lemonade, and Lemonade is not able to get themselves in position. That's tripling strike. That's not going to come yet.
Man, that was a really great pick from Acing to find that angle as well. And like you mentioned, delay those strikes, delay that retake a little bit. Here comes a hammer, managing to chip that cooler and finding another pound as well. And Epitaph have been on a roll. Acing still here, still in flow as well, still finding the picks. This is exactly what you don't want for Lemonade, to have a Luna Blaster in that flow state. 15 ticks left already, staring down the barrel of elimination from winner's bracket now, with Acing still in that flow area. 5 for another wipeout to boot, and 100-0. Epitaph take game 4 and take the set 3-1.
It's like Epitaph was forgetting that there was a Luna Blaster on the other team, and Acing was able to be like, oh, I know that angle. You're behind a ledge. I don't care. I'm a Luna. And every step of the way, we saw splat after splat. That's 3-1 by Epitaph, getting the upset, getting to grand finals. Now, Rocket, this is not the first time that Epitaph makes it to grand finals of Triton-Cup. They have yet to win it, but before we know if they will do that, I guess we're going to go on to the lower bracket and see who their opponents will be.
Have to wait and see, but that was such a statement win from Epitaph against a team no less that have been juggernauts here for a while. Like I mentioned, a combination of EasyMD and Frutella. You know the names by now, no needing of introductions there, but to be able to do that to that team, to come off a win in Urchin Underpass and then put a statement on Lemonade's counter pick. I'm sure if these two teams face again in grand finals, if it does end up being a rematch, I don't think we'll see Lemonade pull out the triple bow in game 1. I think we'll be seeing have them play a little bit more seriously and take them a little bit more seriously, because hey, Epitaph has just made a statement to the rest of the teams left in this tournament. They are here for that victory for Triton-Cup. I think you were mentioning it during that break, that Triton-Cup victory has been in their crosshairs for a while after they have already won several paddling pools, I believe back-to-back ones previously.
Yes, they have, but Triton-Cup is a different beast. We'll see more of that beast right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome one, welcome all. We are back for Triton-Cup 149. Now backing things up into losers bracket. We're looking at Psycho Aim versus Yoshi Gang, two of the four teams remaining left in this tournament. We saw the upper two teams, Epitaph and Lemonade, already play, with Lemonade being knocked down to losers bracket finals, and with that win, Epitaph have set themselves up really nicely in grand finals, waiting to see who will challenge them. Two teams here playing to see if they can be that team with Psycho Aim and Yoshi Gang. Psycho Aim, a team comprised up of a pickup with Esdef and Usagi fan club, and Yoshi Gang, a well-established team that have been making headways within previous Triton Cups.
Yeah. And headways they will make. Overlay says we're going to have tower control, but we won't. It's Triton Cup. It's zones only. Let's start, of course, with Mahi Resort. Very well-known map, and Psycho Aim and Yoshi Gang, both bringing the kind of weapons that we'd expect to see here.
Yeah, no real surprises between either side, with Psycho Aim running that double bin line comp, Miner a spectacular bucket, Bexal a fantastic sword in their own right, but with what Yoshi Gang is bringing with those close range weapons with the Zap and that short range blaster, you see them apply that aggressiveness off rip that has them in control of that zone. First control of the zone, always a strong thing to have on Mahi Mahi, and Bounce Yoshi able to get a follow-up pick as well to make things hurt even more.
Yeah, and it looks like Yoshi Gang are in a good position right there. The water will drop as the crab tank is activated by Psycho Aim. There's still a lot of blue on that zone, and a lot of specials are being used right now by Psycho Aim, who are still not able to get the zone.
Yeah, they need to get at least a little bit of presence here. As that pen goes down, no cooler will be claimed by them either, so these fights need to happen and need to go into the favor of Psycho Aim for them to stay alive. Miner being able to stay alive has allowed them to stop the bleeding very, very momentarily. Very nicely done there to make sure that didn't go into the 20s, where it could have been very, very scary.
Yeah, that was a nice retake by Psycho Aim. Now trying to establish their control, and now that the water is dropped, there's a lot to paint around. The Zipcaster coming in. Can that Zip get a few splats, get some attention? They got splatted, and that could cost them. Yoshi Gang are retaking the zone. Despite the strikes are not enough, and this time Miner will be sent back to spawn. Rocket.
Yeah, not enough. They're maybe getting a little bit too antsy on that hold, but Yoshi Gang still holding on to that lead. E-Leader is down pretty early, though, so that backline presence, that peace of mind now that Psycho Aim has allowed them to go in, has now given them some space to really operate and work with, but can they execute? That has been the issue, as Yoshi Gang has just done a really nice job at disrupting them every step of the way. To go down, though, so now an opportunity for them to move forward, but not if that E-Leader is still up. With Brat Yoshi hitting another one on the Miner as well. Just trying to see if they can stay alive against Spagzal. Not enough to do so, but zone flipping left and right still, with pretty much ending up in the same place as we were a minute ago, with Yoshi Gang in control and with that lead.
Yep. Yeah, Yoshi Gang right there holding their control, holding their lead. Now with not that much penalty left on them, they're going to hold, they're going to get more points, and Psycho Aim, very disciplined, waiting for their specials, activating the crab. That crab is immediately answered by a Kraken to survive for Yoshi Gang. Yoshi Gang not even trying to hold the zone, they're simply trying to stay around, but they get forced out. That's a very nice jump away to save what they have. They'll have the bubbler for their next push. Now the big question is, can they push in? It looks like that blaster is already trying to find a way forward.
And I love what you mentioned there with discipline, and we're seeing it now play out for Yoshi Gang, with them holding on to that bubble, just waiting to see if they can utilize it in that zone. You see Fat Yoshi in there with it, providing so much space. The Kraken goes out. The counter strikes coming from Miner to try to see if they can slow down or even break that bubble, but they are hunted down by that Kraken zone. Now quickly flipped into Yoshi Gang's favor, as a very nice pick on Despexao is found, finding them escaping away. And that's something that we've seen now both teams really execute well, which is being patient and playing for those specials, but
Yeah.
eventually that discipline can waver in times of desperation, especially if points get going into these scary margins which we're starting to get to right now with both teams in those 30 marks, as Yoshi Gang doesn't have any penalty left and now will take that lead.
Yeah, it's just a few points between these two teams in the last minute of the game. Psycho Aim needs a push, but right now they are struggling to move in. The Kraken is forcing them to disperse, go around. The strikes are thrown at the zone, but the strikes are not enough. The Zipcaster is the last chance, but that's not going to work. Yoshi Gang gets game number 1.
And sometimes that's all it takes sometimes in a zones match where one person dies on a retake and suddenly the entire retake is in jeopardy. And for that one, it was Psycho Aim's retake where I believe it was the splash that went down early that wasn't able to really get up their special in time. And retaking is already hard enough on a map such as Mahi Mahi. Doing so against the Blaster, even harder. Doing so in a 3v4, really rough spots, and that's just what we saw there with Psycho Aim seemingly being put more onto the back foot, and I will give them props. They were able to answer that call several times. They were able to rise up to that challenge, but if you are forced into a difficult position enough, eventually something's got to break, and that's what Yoshi Gang was able to take advantage of.
Yeah. I feel like both of these teams were playing very collected. Like, as we said, they have a lot of discipline waiting for the specials and the teammates before pushing in. And even in their final retake, Yoshi Gang, they won the team fight and then they repainted the zone. They let the zone get some extra points to Psycho Aim. They were very fine with letting Psycho Aim get a few more points. That was going to their penalty anyways. And because making sure that they had control around the zone of these surroundings made sure that they could hold that zone longer. And that's what you want to do. Two teams that have very much that plan of playing the long game, playing for control, playing for presence on the map. Going into Robo-Roman, pay attention to these strikes by Miner. Miner, incredible slasher player. And I mean, strikes on this map in particular, they are very, very useful. They're probably the best retakes tool.
Yeah, and it's a great counter too against Fat Yoshi's bubble. There is a mind game that you have to play with specials countering specials, kind of like a rock, paper, scissors, because that bubble is going to be a great tool against the crab that Psycho Aim is trying to utilize, but Miner has the specials to counteract that, so it's kind of a three-way counteracting thing you have to think about here. What Psycho Aim now being able to find a lot more success than what we saw in the first game. Specs out off to a rampage, trying to see if they can find more, almost finding that E-leader, but at the very least assisting in that pick. Not much with that zap either to try to see if they can get that zone, with Fat Yoshi really being the last player standing. That bubble already utilized. We're already down to that 50 tick mark, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, Psycho Aim not wasting a second this time, and they're much more confident than what we saw in game number 1. But now Yoshi Gang, it's their turn to be in the driver's seat, and they're able to get a wipeout with a punish on the Zipcaster at the end of it. And now Yoshi Gang is ahead of the zone. They're not able to really go deep in to go for a fight, but they're forcing the strikes away from the zone. They're able to very much take control of the pace of that game, but with 2 splats, it looks like Psycho Aim will be back on the zone already.
Yeah, seeing a lot more poise from them now, but they need to hunker down. You already have them all going 3 down, just left as a pen to try to fend for themselves. They can't hold this zone by themselves for much longer. They can only really stall and hold onto these elbow positions. Here comes a crab, though, that can stabilize things, as well as Spexow going in with that Zipcaster to cause the disruption. And disruption they have, leading to 2 players on the side of Yoshi Gang going down. Now very much stalling with Rat Yoshi, the last one on that E-leader, trying to see if they can just live this bombardment of slosher shots and burst bombs. 36 left remaining. Now we're entering that 1 retake left territory.
Missing that shot on Heimer on Miner could be rough for Yoshi Gang. They're not able to keep themselves on the map. Just 10 ticks left on the zone. There's nobody to paint it blue. Psycho Aim just holding a few more seconds. Wait, no. Yep, Psycho Aim is going to get the victory. And I mean, this one was a very quick KO compared to what we saw in Game 1 Rocket.
Yeah, and I feel like we saw a lot more decisiveness and aggressiveness from Psycho Aim that we didn't see too much of in Game 1, a lot because of how the map was built out, but also because of how well they were able to deal with what Psycho Aim was trying to put down. We saw a lot more aggressiveness key lead from Spec Zhao, especially on that opening, just going in and causing that havoc that their team can follow up on. That Slosher as well, Miner, that dynamic duo, those mid lines chip really nicely into each other, and having that Crab to round things out and the Pen as well to provide so much chipping power on a map such as Robo Ramen there really added to the overall team effort and really just allowed them to dominate Yoshi Gang from near start to finish, especially, and we saw that play out with them making it to 100, from 100 all the way down to 38 in a matter of basically only a minute.
Yeah. And that was a great answer by Psycho Aim, but now I feel like we have kind of a theme for that best of 3 Rocket. We're going onto a map that is very much winner take all. The team that's able to really get control, set themselves, will be able to hold the zone, because we are going to Barnacle and Dime now. The team that will be able to rush the other team, retakes will be hard on here, and we've seen the retake game has been what decided game number 1 and game number 2. So now on here, this is going to change completely for Barnacle, and we'll see how these two teams adapt.
Yeah, and there's a lot of factors that I feel like really come down to execution as well. Of course, you have Yoshi Gang with that E leader. If comps remain the same, they will have that E leader, but of course, being peppered away by the potential strikes with that Crab and Zipcaster as well, you constantly find that E leader under duress. And we will see the same comps from both sides, so something that Yoshi Gang will really need to emphasize is that quick speed that the Blaster Fat Yoshi can really provide, as well as Biba Yoshi helping them with that Zap Paint.
Yeah, all the Yoshis are prepared to go in, and we'll see who is able to reset themselves. That push by Spec, already aiming for the opponent's platform. They really know that taking that control is important. The Kraken is there to push them out, though, to punish them for being a bit too greedy. That fight is still going, though, and it looks like the Splash-O-Matic is able to take a lot of control for Psycho Aim, who right now are getting a lot of free points.
Yeah, but maybe overstepping their boundaries there, as with them being the only one on that plat. A quick retake in now with the favor of Yoshi Gang. You have the strikes now quickly counteracting that bubble, but again, counteracting the counteraction. You have that Kraken as well to cause that disruption, poke out Spec Zhao, and now a difficult task will await Psycho Aim with only a Crab to utilize. Still a great retake special, don't get it twisted, but you need to make sure that it gets its value in at least getting that plat area back, which is exactly what you see happening there with that taking out Fat Yoshi.
Oh yes, we are very close in terms of points, but it looks like Psycho Aim will hold their lead. And with 2 down on each side, that's going to slow down the retake by Yoshi Gang. Psycho Aim right now in a very, very good spot with only a few more points of penalty.
Ooh. Yeah, these E-leader shots just almost hitting their mark, but if Yoshi Gang wants any chance of it, they need them to count. They need them to find their mark here with points constantly going down, still going down. You have both the mid lines going down for Psycho Aim, so an opportunity to regain some lost ground for Yoshi Gang. At the very least, get that flat area back. That is the point of emphasis for them, especially with 15 ticks left. You have Cooler, you need to move in soon. Kraken is almost available. 1-for-1 trade will happen in that zone. Zone now temporarily in contention as this Pen Z is just trying to paint over. With them being that last player standing, they're just trying to live to fight another day at this rate. So good on Yoshi Gang to prevent the knockout, but still great points being scored by Psycho Aim as Miner is taken out there up front. So that retake is going to be stalled out a little bit longer.
Yeah, and Yoshi Gang were not really able to set themselves in front of the zone. They'll have to wait and let Psycho Aim retake control because of that. Now we're back to a fight for mid. Beautiful move here by the Blaster, getting a punish on Spec with the Stamper is so important, but they have more work to do, and with 2 down on Yoshi Gang, Rocket, this is looking pretty dire for the gang.
Yeah, you have the cooler off, you have the bubble, but again, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you just have to go desperation with these specials often, especially with minor strikes available. This is going to be a key factor here. That strikes do go out pretty early, and the blaster is having that bubble up, but it may not matter as the points and the paint is not there for Yoshi Gang. Psycho Aim, after going down 0-1 in the sets, roar back with 2 straights to move on into losers bracket finals.
Yoshi Gang, in that last push, they brought the fight back to the zone, but they were next to the zone. They were not on the zone. They didn't have the paint for the zone, and they paid the price. That is 2-1 for Psycho Aim, which means Psycho Aim will make it on to the lower bracket finals.
Yeah, and with that, your top 3 are set. Lemonade and Psycho Aim will be your next upcoming match that we'll be taking a look at. Losers bracket finals reset to best of 5. We're going to be rolling best of 5 the rest of the way. Losers bracket finals and grand finals, but that will be in a mere moment. We'll take a very momentary break as both these teams get readied up, but don't go anywhere. Triton-Cup will be right back.
Welcome back! We are now in the lower bracket finals. We are on the podium of this Triton-Cup 149. I am Pat here with Rocket, ready to watch more of these games thanks to our wonderful observer Naga. And it's going to be two teams that we've already seen, Rocket. It's going to be Lemonade against Psycho Aim.
Yep, and now we are in best of 5 territory, right back to what we saw at the beginning of our cast. Counter picks as well with Triton-Cup. Reminder, zones only, starting things off on Hagglefish Market, a classic as always. Lemonade, as a reminder, a pickup made up of EZMD and Frutella. Psycho Aim, a similar story made up of SDEF and Usagi Fan Club. Familiar names all across the board. Enough said, let's just jump into it, as we have typically seen Lemonade run different comps, different looks, at least from what we've seen so far. Psycho Aim remains true. Let's see what Lemonade throws at us. I see a glam shot, triple shooter coming out from Lemonade here in this game 1.
Yeah, that's a lot of mobility that will allow them to adapt to what their opponent is doing. They have double opening gambit as well. They want to get into the fight. They want to run forward. We'll see how well it works. Right there for now, Psycho Aim are waiting for their opponent, ready to fight them. And one thing to note as well, Rocket, both of these teams have been put in the lower bracket by the same team, and that team is waiting for them in grand finals.
Yes, so a chance at redemption, a chance at revenge against Epitaph, who is waiting in grand finals. But of course, you need to get away from the team that's in front of you. And so far, Lemonade has been the one to control the table here with that aggressiveness. I was gonna have concerns about those matchups against those midline weapons, but it's seemingly like Lemonade is having no issues getting right into the face of Psycho Aim.
Yeah, Psycho Aim right now trying to get back to the zone. Already 40 points remaining for Lemonade. The zone is painted, but it's not taken yet. Lemonade very, very well in control. And I mean, that's the power of triple shooter. You always have something somewhere.
Yeah, and not only that, but the unpredictability and the speed that they move in with. You see that gal, like, and on the right side with that glam shot, just pop up and get a kill. Yes, they may go down, but still, you have that constant annoyance, that constant pain that you were just talking about to constantly be in duress with. Like, you see their miner, you're just getting immediately swarmed by Lemonade, and it's just something that Psycho Aim needs to adapt to mid-game in order to move this along and keep it alive. Spexel finding a nice burst bomb onto that splash, but further picks will need to be happening in order for them to get back into that zone, because so far, Psycho Aim is just fighting to stay alive.
Yeah, but with 2 down onto Lemonade, that could be an opportunity, but Kraken is not letting the push happen, but nobody can go forward, and that extra time that was bought by Lemonade allows them to regroup, and now we're back to a fight around mid. Both of these teams pretty much on equal footing, but no longer on equal footing already. Lemonade not wasting a second, winning the fight, and there's not much penalty left, Rocket.
Yeah, but Cooler now plays Psycho Aim's real last shot at this. You already have the strikes coming out from Miner onto that zone. Does provide a little bit of that pain control, and just in time, Psycho Aim is able to at least force the penalty, live to fight another day. Still a lot of time within this match, so a comeback is doable, especially with that pick that Spexel just got there with a Zipcaster in hand. Now a great opportunity to cause that pain with these longer range weapons, but still fighting tooth and nail. Lemonade somehow find 3. You had that flank going on that left side that just forced the crunch in the middle area.
Yeah, a penalty was applied, which means we get to watch a bit more game, but Psycho Aim, that's a snipe that's going to cost them dearly. 20 ticks left of penalty, and I mean, Lemonade is in a very, very good spot. They're very aggro right now. The leader is hunting. That's another splat on the pencil. That's no cooler for Psycho Aim, and with no penalty left, I don't think they're gonna get back to that zone.
Yeah, time running out. Crab, the only thing left standing, but those 2 snipes from the E-leader just put the final nails in the coffin for Psycho Aim, as Lemonade very convincingly take that game 1. It was a challenge to keep Psycho Aim away, but eventually Lemonade just found that rhythm again, and just the aggressiveness that we saw on opening, and for the good first minute of that as well, is exactly what you want from Lemonade from a comp that is running triple shooter. The main weakness, of course, is going to be that range, but again, they didn't really see that much issue with Lemonade being able to close the distance on these players such as Spexel, such as Miner.
And I mean, we saw Lemonade fooling around, being kind of comfortable and paying the price for it. And now we see Lemonade when they're on the low side, when they are back to the wall and know that they are not allowed much more mistakes. And that's how you play. And one thing to note is they brought the triple shooters. Shooters, not necessarily the best weapons, but triple shooter is going to be the kind of comp where you're sure that you'll be able to perform whatever the map, whatever your opponent brings. Having 3 shooters means you'll always have paint, you'll always have movement, you'll always have fighting power. Whatever happens, you'll be ready for it. Now, it's on Psycho Aim to use the fact that they are a bit more specialized and to use that to their advantage. And without much hesitation, Rocket, they are going to Umami, and both teams instantly locking the weapons. I guess we are getting right back in the action.
Yeah, and I'm curious if Lemonade is going to stick with that comp. Yes, they do. It seems like going to be their trick up their sleeve. Still same comps from both sides, but maybe this map change can prove to go into Psycho Aim's favor. It does provide that quirk of having a 2-zone map now, fighting from both sides. Maybe being able to split up the shooters is gonna provide a lot more advantage to Psycho Aim. Really win on the margins with these one-on-ones, and you see it really play out right there with Miner getting that early pick in mid as well, and 3 down already. A delayed 3 on the side of Lemonade will surely mean that Psycho Aim take control of both those zones off rip.
Yeah, and we see Miner really using the map to its best. There's so many small edges to use. That's a wipeout and Psycho Aim. I mean, I guess that's why they picked this map. They really know how to fight on here.
Yeah, and being able to, again, just win these one-on-ones where the shooters can't just have 2 of them pop up and run at you in the single zones just provides so much more spacing advantage. Those strikes do delay Lemonade a little bit, but not for long, as that Kraken was able to find Spexel. Now, with that control of the zone, can Psycho Aim get in this retake? Crab and Cooler up. That dynamic specials here, that scream, we are going in now. We're going to force things on this right side, but still, Lemonade still hold pretty firmly. You have that onslaught of blue paint on that right side, almost finding a 2 there from that splash, but Miner's able to come in for the cleanup just to provide that paint onto the zone. So reset now to a more neutral state of both sides, just fighting for that advantage control.
Yeah, I hear Kraken, though. That Kraken will allow Lemonade to retake some space, prepare some presence, but the answer is coming. Psycho Aim able to keep some more action going. The burst bomb is stopping a lot, though. Oh, that's 2 down on Psycho Aim. Looks like Lemonade are finally finding their footing on this map and going in with more splats. Beautiful moves here. Woo!
Ooh, and this is Kiki just constantly applying that pressure on shot. That aura as well to boot provides so much speed, and they're still going, being able to take out that Cooler as well, just providing and stalling out these specials that are just causing so much disruption to Psycho Aim. Another delayed wipeout, 15 ticks left, and there is the true wipeout, pretty much nailing the coffin now, as here comes the Kraken to secure things, putting some salt onto the wound, and pretty much single-handedly Kiki there, going on a rampage at the end, takes game 2 for Lemonade.
Yeah, I mean, Psycho Aim opened so strong on this map. They got the wipeout in the first 30 seconds, but Lemonade learned, they adapted, and they were the ones getting the wipeout in the last 30 seconds. And the last 30 seconds of the game usually decide who gets the victory. That's 2-0 for Lemonade. And right now, they look incredibly strong. Now, Psycho Aim, again, not much hesitation. We are going to go on to Makomart for what is their last counter pick of this match.
Provides a lot of different obstacles in a unique environment, but I want to touch again on that rampage that Kiki was able to go on. And of course, it will benefit Lemonade when you constantly have Psycho Aim going down to the shot, but it really all started with that double burst bomb to cancel out Miner's trip strikes. The constant stalling of Psycho Aim specials was why they couldn't retake, why they got locked out so fast, and has been the strength of Lemonade and has to be an obstacle that Psycho Aim overcomes because you have the retake tools to use, and we do actually see a change away from the Crab and now with the Gal to maybe provide more of that in-your-face presence instead of having that more supportive Crab.
Yeah. Psycho Aim got the memo. They need to fight. They need to get in the fights, and right now, that's another very, very good opening by Psycho Aim. But we know, Rocket, the question now is, can they turn these splats into points? Can they turn that into momentum? Right now, the big question is, can they get control of the map?
And also be aware of Anil. They've just been hitting key pick after key pick. It's not only the amount of people you splat, but also who you splat. The ones with those specials that are so crucial for either side. You have a absolute brawl happening on that right side stack area. Some key points on this map being that height advantage as Lemonade does ring out on the top with that Kraken being utilized from Kiki to provide that spacing here now. Very close to that lead, not quite being able to get it quite yet, but there we go. The lead switch will go into Lemonade, but from how these two teams have been playing, it's gonna be a very contested one, I'm sure, on the brink of elimination. Psycho Aim trying to see what it can do. Miner going down there, those strikes gonna be delayed, so you need to get your specials in order. That pen also going down. They were close to that cooler, so you should see the brawl of the specials going in, the vault of specials from Psycho Aim being launched into the zone.
Yeah, and right now we see Lemonade still fighting for that zone with just a few points apart right now, but there's much more points to score, of course. Psycho Aim and Lemonade still fighting around, and with Q down on Lemonade, and a Stamper going in. That's a lot of splats. Psycho Aim are going to retake the zone right there, but the fight is still going. This map is so small, there's always a fight.
Everywhere, chaotic 1v1s happening, each one mattering so much to the overall fighting there. Spexal gets caught out on that Zipcaster recall. You have Miner going down as well. Lemonade have found that momentum right back, having this Gal flanking around, causing some disruption, somehow making it alive out of that as well, and finding one onto Zikrum with that Whale. Now still in your face here in that flow state. This is exactly what you want out of your Gal, minding 3. Now being able to slow that bleeding is Miner, but not only have we seen Kiki kind of step up, that Gal as well has proven to be a big issue for Psycho Aim. Now in desperation time on this retake.
They need to paint Rocket, but they just lost a few too many players. That's 3 down on Psycho Aim. And only Miner will not be enough to get the zone back. Lemonade establishing their control, reminding us that they are seed number 1 of this tournament, but they have a discussion to have with Epitaph about who is going to win this Triton-Cup.
Yeah, they definitely have sitting up in their gamer chairs all right, and Game 2 was the Kiki show, that Game 3 was the Phoenix show, with that Gal constantly on that right side, and we saw the cherry on top at the end, with finding 2 on that stack, going around the right side, and finding 3 more, just completely disrupting the flow of operations for Psycho Aim and throwing a wrench into their plans, because that's how retakes work sometimes. It is a smooth operation, and if something gets dislodged in there, may it be a Gal in flow, well, it's going to be hard to recover from, especially that deep into the match. So GG's, but Lemonade doing another dance now with Epitaph in Grand Finals.
Yep, it's going to be time for us to take a break, prepare the last and final lobby of this tournament. It will be a rematch between these two teams. Don't go anywhere.
And here we are for the conclusion of Triton-Cup 149. Two teams faced off against each other before in winners bracket finals, going the way of Epitaph 3-1. But here they go again in grand finals. Epitaph coming from the winner's side, Lemonade coming from the loser's side to get some revenge and maybe force a bracket reset here. Reminder, in that previous set, only one game was taken by Lemonade. They famously and very funnily opened with 3 bows in that game one. I'm sure now taking Epitaph a lot more seriously, probably not seeing a comp similar to that, but stranger things have happened now, bringing their A game for grand finals.
Yeah, and it's going to be all on the line for them. They know that they have 2 sets, 2 tries going against that monster that is Lemonade. They already beat them once. All they need to do is do that again. But a team like Lemonade is a team that's able to learn and adapt and do better and better. And as I say that, it looks like they didn't adapt enough. Epitaph is opening pretty strong.
Just constantly applying that pressure moving forward on this custom blaster. A very unique choice, managing to find one of the Skittles on that right side as well. Believe the colors are mixed match. This is Lemonade in the orange and Epitaph in the blue. Epitaph just trying to see if they can get in here with acing on that left side, seeing if they can move forward with World as well. That's 1-2 punch to see if they can take these 2v1s, but that Gal finds both of them here, being able to shut that down. Phoenix, nicely done there to keep this moving forward.
Yeah, and that Lemonade still keeping a player around. That Gal is still there to get more splats, to get more and more as the clock is ticking. More points for Epitaph, but Lemonade, again, they're happy to give the points as long as they win the fights, and now they take the zone with a lot of control, a lot of players in position. It's going to be on Epitaph now to get a retake.
Yeah, it's still a lot of close-range fights happening, not too many unsurprised really with the weapons that both teams are running out, but still, now with Lemonade in more strong of a control, potential to retake this lead as well, in Zuka on the way. It's going to be a tough ask for Epitaph to claw back in. Somebody's going to have to rise up to be a hero here. You have the Crab and the Hammer available, potentially being retaken around this right side, already drawing several eyes on the side of Lemonade here. Acing finds one onto that blaster, but still points ticking down, timer running out for Epitaph. That Mind managing to chip away, but still Annie will go down. 15 ticks left on that zone. Zuka now being utilized, all the specials being unloaded here, and it will go into the advantage slightly of Epitaph, but not a lot of paint is on the board. 10 ticks left, running out of time here. 2 players down. I surely thought that Epitaph would have gotten that zone, but still up in the air.
If they can't get... Wait, they didn't apply penalty, they were so close! And the zone is neutral once again! But with 3 down, it looks like Lemonade this time will not let that happen. I mean, Rocket, we saw Epitaph try so well, get so close, but close is not there. And that's the big difference here.
Yeah, I feel like there were multiple moments there where Epitaph had the picks, but just not the paint on the zone. And when somebody realized it, Lemonade was already back in that zone to counteract them. So it was just very unlucky timing for Epitaph to have that attention being drawn both ways, as they constantly had 2 players down. And of course, some of those weapons are better at one thing than the other. One of them might be better at slaying, such as acing, but you don't want your Luna Blaster painting over that zone. And Lemonade just were able to take a second, recollect themselves, and then force that final fight. But now, we know how strong a team like Epitaph is in terms of winning on counter picks as well, and their own picks. So advantage to them now potentially in this next game as they wait and see what they can do to counteract this. And it does look like we'll be returning to a very familiar map that we saw both these teams play on. Splat Zones, Urchin, Underpass. Again, these chaotic fights in that mid-zone area.
Yeah, that's... I mean, That's the map where Epitaph felt comfortable, where Epitaph was happy to bring the fight, and where they were able to really show what they could do. So we'll see what they can do. I don't think Lemonade is going to bring back the double dapples. We love the dapples here, but I don't think we're going to see them. I think both teams are going to bring the single dapples to have a bit more range, to have a bit more fighting power.
There is an argument to be made for the second Dapple, but it is little murky waters because if you remember in that previous set, there was a heavy reliance on the Reef Slider to maintain control of the zone, right? And while yes, the benefit of bringing it is you have that emergency, oh, I don't want to lose the lead, I want to paint the zone immediately button. It didn't really get much value outside of sacrificing that player just for the sake of buying more time, and it's not exactly a winning formula. So I can see the arguments that you were making there, Pat, with them straying away from that double dapples, especially with acing on the other side with that blaster, that Luna blaster that can fight really nicely into it. But we'll have to wait and see if that adjustment is made.
Unless you're about to get KO'd, it's more important to get the splats, get control of the map than it is to actually paint the zone quite often. Now, it looks like Lemonade are bringing back the splatter shot with Zuka to try to move the opponent away. I mean, that's still a weapon that can do anything. That can absolutely adapt to your opponent. Now we'll see what these teams will be able to do. Oh well, right now Lemonade, they didn't learn. They didn't learn what Epitaph can do on this map mode.
Yeah, very similar story to what we saw in that previous set as well, and how that played out. But now cooler placement as well. 30 seconds have passed already, and strong presence by Epitaph surely made with a 2-for-1 trade happening on that top right side. Yoshi being able to hold it down, but it's already down to that 50-point total, and already a lot of pressure being put into Lemonade to hurry up their retakes.
Yeah, 40 points left already. Lemonade needs to go forward, and they just lost 3 players. Make that free. Epitaph, they have control, they have everything, and with just a few more ticks, all they need to do is just slow down their opponent now. Lemonade can't get back to the zone. That's going to be 1-2-1.
And simply, Yoshi on the Dapples for Epitaph did so much of the work there. On the opening, was able to cause that distraction and really pinch with the rest of their team. On the initial retake hold on that top right side, they were able to find a 2-for-1 trade that was able to slow down Lemonade a little bit, and then at the end there, in that decisive retake, able to get in a flank and find I think like 2 or 3 members of Lemonade just flanking around and sharking in this ink that, again, just disrupted those retakes as Lemonade really never found their flow.
And that has to be a great confidence boost for Epitaph, because yes, beating a top team in upper bracket is something you can be proud of, but when you reach grand finals and you bring back the map that they've already seen, where they already know your plan, being able to beat them again on there, that means you are ready to adapt to the way they will adapt to you. Now we're going to go on to Barnacle and Dime. Remember, if I remember correctly, Epitaph won on Barnacle and Dime in the upper bracket. So we'll see if Lemonade will be able to do a bit better. Of course, I mean, on this map, it's very much the team that's able to take control that will be able to keep control.
Yeah, and exactly what you just mentioned, Pat. This is playing out very similarly to what we saw in that other set with the counter pick from Epitaph onto Urchin, where they win, and then Lemonade Booth counter picking to Barnacle. Yes, Epitaph did get that victory here, but maybe Lemonade has something different up their sleeve. So we'll have to wait and see what that is. The Zuka shot did provide a lot of value in that game 1. That game 2 you can consider that a throwaway maybe if you just sort of like Well, we just simply weren't able to really build a single push at all, so that Zuka can provide that different value here for Game 3 being a more flat and open map where Zukas can thrive, really find their marks a lot easier. But, of course, Lemonade has to worry about that little annoyance on their shoulder that's saying, hey, Epitaph beat you on this map mode before. You have to be extremely confident in your plan in order to make sure that doesn't happen here, especially now that it is basically a best of 3.
And the one player that really popped off on Barnacle was Acing. They need to have a counter for the Luna. And honestly, I'm not sure the splatter shot is necessarily the best weapon for that job. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised to see some change on that matter. But let's get in the game. As you said, Rocket, this is now, as a matter of fact, a best of 3. And Lemonade are getting closer to elimination. They change things a little bit. Meanwhile, Epitaph not really changing a recipe that's been working for them.
Yeah, Heavy Splatling, Cooler, Claws 96, Custom Blaster, and the Gal will be your Lemonade comp here, and that does fight really nicely, still providing very consistent paint with that Heavy Splatling, but Yoshi now back on that splash with that crab, raining ink from above, but 2 go down pretty early on the side of Epitaph, make that a 3rd, so aggressiveness and initial points and zone cap will go into favor of Lemonade as they set up Heavy Splatling, a great weapon to kind of slow down what we were talking about earlier, acing on that Luna Blaster, just constantly applying that paint space, and could be the adaptation that Lemonade needs.
Yeah, and with the addition of the 96, they have a lot of range on their opponent. They'll be able to fight them at a distance, which is pretty nice. On here, there's lots of fat ground, but now Epitaph are pushing, are going in, are going for splats right there. They're going to get the zone, as right now Lemonade is simply trying to keep some presence, keep the fight where they want it to be. And with a splashdown, it looks like right now Epitaph is paying the price. They got penalty, but that's all they got, Rocket.
Yeah, a little bit of an awkward interaction down there with Yoshi and Acing jumping to each other, leading to each other's deaths at that bottom street side, so now hopefully being able to recollect themselves, especially with their specials as well. They need to prioritize focusing that Heavy Splatling in that back. You saw how much under duress it was previously with that other crab, but this one not really providing too much space, as Epitaph is only able to make it up that plat area. However, you have World on that left street, being able to take away so much presence that allows the rest of Epitaph to move in on that other right side. So here, now is the stronghold that Epitaph needs to build, with a crab almost available yet again to potentially flip this lead into their favor.
Yeah, and right now Epitaph activating the crab tank. That crab will allow them to hold more control and punish really Lemonade, as Lemonade was trying to get back onto the zone right there. Epitaph, I have a sense of deja vu. And there's going to be Acing popping off, taking more. The lead is taken with the tactical runner now. They're going to go for more fights, and the hammer is rare to get more splats. They don't even need the hammer. They're simply waiting for the opponent to go back in before they get it.
And are we seeing a bit of deja vu here? Acing when the time matters most in that last retake attempt from Lemonade, popping off, finding 3, and with that hammer presence and that threat as well, set up Epitaph really nicely into this game 4, 1 game away from victory, and 1 game away from having a similar result to what they did in that previous set, a 3-1 victory. But again, it is Lemonade's time to counterpick, and we saw a very similar story play out at the end, but again, seemingly no answer for that crab as well that Epitaph was bringing out. We saw it be that key factor into why Epitaph was able to retake in the first place, not only canceling that splashdown and getting that player, but also managing to chip out that Heavy Splatling in the background in order to stall out that presence.
The stabilizing power of a crab tank. Like, suddenly you have extra HP, you have the DPS, you have the range, and suddenly your opponent is forced to respect that, to get away from here. Very much Epitaph knowing exactly when to use the crab. You can use the crab in a very offensive manner to go in, get crazy splats, but you can also use it from your platform to make sure that things stay your way. And right there, Epitaph was able to really shut down that push from their opponent. Now, Rocket, the map has been chosen, and we're going back to Hammerhead Bridge, a map that was good for Lemonade when they brought it in upper bracket.
Yeah, like pretty much played out very similarly to how the previous set is. The only real difference is Robo Ramen instead of Mahi Mahi, but yeah, I mean, this is a good, like you mentioned, this is a good track record for what Lemonade wants to bring out, but again, Epitaph, they can beat you on your counter pick. They've proven that already. They can beat you twice on the same counter pick. They can probably do it again. So Lemonade needs to bring their best foot forward. That comp change just quite not enough to really stall them out, because although you brought the range with the heavy splatling and the 96, these are slower weapons that if Acing is able to get in, if they have aura, if they have the paints, they can get in, and there's nothing you can do about it if they're already in your face. So, Lemonade, what is your comp answer for this? And it is a Tri-Slosher that we have yet to see here. Epitaph still sticking to their guns. Let's see if this Tri-Slosher can prove to be the difference maker with Pablo, its wielder.
I'm curious, that could be a good counter to the Luna that's going to fight at short range, that has the ledge options as well, that has the easy, of course, to counter as well. So very similar weapons. We'll see who is able to get the most of that matchup. But right now, what's happening? Rocket, what is happening?
Absolute chaos in the middle. Acing yet again, just pretty much getting into that middle area and saying, hey, this is all mine, and was able to combo off really nicely of that early Crab. The Crab and Luna Blaster duo just providing so much poke ability.
Yeah, and right now Epitaph is simply waiting for a mistake from their opponent. Lemonade needs to push in. The Hammer is playing. The Hammer is not going to find much, but still, I mean, it's Lemonade waiting more and more before they can get in. The splat on the Luna is so important. Can Lemonade get that zone? Looks like they'll be able to, and not just the zone, they get a delayed wipe, and they get so far up ahead. That was the plan, Rocket.
Yeah, you gotta think as well, if Acing had hit that shot, we could have already seen curtains on this game, but Lemonade have shown themselves a little bit more life here. Retake's so difficult to do on this map, and with them positioning themselves so far forward, Lemonade have given themselves the ability to afford a couple of mistakes here and there, but now the time is now to see if they can execute on this wonderful positioning. Already, though, they have lost one of their players. You already have 3 members of Epitaph moving on this left side. Crab used pretty early. Hammer quickly denied, though, by that short-range blaster. Quickly traded out. Zone still in contention from either side. Lead barely being held by Epitaph, as you have Phoenix managing to find one onto Skittles. The players, all 3 of them on the left side for Epitaph. Hammer will find his mark, but lead will be switched into Lemonade's favor. The paint needs to be there for Epitaph to control that zone. They will eventually get it. Crab is available as well, and a sequence of events has immediately flipped the script of this game, with Lemonade in control of the lead, but not in control of that zone.
That's a huge lead to get right there, Rocket. Right now, Epitaph needs to find a way to really push their opponent out of the zone, as we are very much fighting right there, right in mid, both of these teams trying to get the upper hand, and with 2 players down, make that 3 players down. Lemonade are setting themselves, painting around, punishing everybody, and once again, they are going very high. They want to take these very high positions to make sure that Epitaph needs to fight twice before they can get back to the zone.
All of specials available, that Crab, that Hammer available. Acing is down early, though, and so is that Gal. The Crab doesn't have any other players to help them get these picks, so quickly shredded out and onto that right side. So weak, no more penalties, as well as Lemonade have the ability to quickly knock out here. It is a desperation time on this left side. Can the picks be found? World is there. You have that splash as well, but it is not enough paints as Lemonade force a game 5 in grand finals.
And Epitaph, very dangerous on here. It's just that the second Lemonade got that push, they got such a big push. And they got such momentum from them. From then on, Epitaph was not really able to push them out of mid the way they did at the start of the game. And if you can't push your opponent completely out, you're going to have a rough time. Lemonade was able to really have so much control over the pace of the game from then on. Which means, Rocket, this game decides whether Epitaph gets the crown or whether we are going to a bracket reset.
Now we'll have to wait and see what Epitaph chooses, because ball is in their court. They have the ability to choose the map, and the funniest thing could happen where they pick Mahi Mahi. If you want to replicate that previous set, Mahi Mahi was a very successful zones map for them, but we'll have to wait and see how they kind of control it. It can kind of go both ways.
That doesn't count. I don't think Lemonade would bring the same comp for Mahi Mahi in Game 5 of Grand Finals, where they're facing elimination.
That is true. The asterisk is that was the map they brought 3 bows on, but bows or not, it was technically a win for Epitaph. So
yeah,
it would be pretty funny. It would be pretty funny, but Epitaph, of course, thinking long and hard about it here, as they should, because again, yeah, there it is. It's Mahi. It's Mahi.
They heard
That's the counter pick. They heard me. It is Mahi Mahi. Basically, pretty much to a T, the same maps from that previous set these two teams played.
Will history repeat itself? Will Epitaph get the game? We'll see. All is on the line. One thing for sure is, like, regardless of Lemonade's composition, this is a good map for Epitaph. This is a map with ledges. This is a map where you can get your momentum going, where you can get your control. Epitaph likes to just set themselves in front of the zone and get the fight there. That's the right map for this kind of momentum. And now let's get in the game. Could be the last game, or could be the beginning of another set.
Yep, and we do see a very similar comp from both sides that we saw.
Yep.
No 3 bows, to be expected, of course. Of course, it did not exactly go the way Lemonade wanted it to, but they are here, they are serious about it, and these weapons fight really nicely on a very close range map, and you already see the aggressiveness off rip with both sides losing a player, and both sides just trying to see who can get that initial zone with Yoshi's Crab not being able to find the mark as they go 3 down. Epitaph already in a rough position.
Whatever the special, using it just by yourself will cost you. And right there, that Crab was a bit too isolated and surrounded. Lemonade are going in. Lemonade are getting the momentum, and Lemonade is very much going for more and more presence. Water's going to drop, and it's still Lemonade very much in control and ahead of the zone.
Yeah, and very similarly to Hammerhead, this map can snowball really quickly for that team holding the zone, but now with the water being dropped, a lot of more space can be painted. Those specials can be built up a lot quicker, and a lot more room can operate beat. Keep your eye on that flanking gal on that bottom left side for Lemonade there. They have caused so much disruption, and right there, cut away at Epitaph with just the Tri-Slosher now poking away at Skittles as well. Key picks are happening, and a quick lockout has been created as Epitaph have continuously stalled out on this elbow position, just constantly not had the players there to contest it, as they're just trying to see if they can regroup here, get some ground. A nice Fizzy Bomb kill can provide that opening as a Crab and Hammer is available, but it needs to hit their mark.
Yeah. And the hammer is not going to find the splat. That is unfortunate for acing. They need to paint that zone. Wait, they didn't get the zone. That's more points going for Lemonade right now as Epitaph desperately fighting around. 2 down will allow them to repaint. They get the penalty applied. They get to breathe, but it's still Lemonade. Lemonade just respawned, and Lemonade is now back to the fight.
Yeah, most importantly, Epitaph has built themselves enough time to regroup and finally stop that bleeding, because constantly they were just fighting to stay in the game, but now they have a little bit of room to operate here, but they need to take out these players and do it soon. Still a lot of time in the match and still hefty penalties, so you just need to develop that. Oh, what a nasty shot onto World, though. The flick onto the right side immediately stalls some momentum. 2 down, though, on the side of Lemonade, so now is the time to move in. You do have to worry about this cheeky blaster poking down here. Getting a nice shot onto Yoshi's Crab as well, somehow finding the angle to do it. And with those 2 neat picks, it might have been the final nail in the coffin here, as there just aren't enough players in the zone. What an amazing 2 shots that was from the blaster to not only click onto that flanking player on the right side, but to cancel out the crab and, most importantly, force the bracket reset.
Hey, when we're close to the KO and the zone needs to be painted, the blaster trading with the crab is such a power move. You know that suddenly you have more paint than your opponent, and then Epitaph knew they were in a scramble. They no longer had the special, but they were using both to push and to paint. It was too late. Lemonade gets the 3-2. That was very close, but that is now a bracket reset. We are back 0-0 for the final best of 5 of this tournament.
Yes, and first game decides a lot because neither team is able to pick it and really play those mind games. Game 1 for bracket reset for grand finals. Hagglefish Market, a classic, of course. I don't think we've seen these 2 teams play on it yet, so it's going to be a new look. We don't have any previous records for at least this tournament to take a look at to see how this one will turn out. We have seen as well, though, how aggressive Lemonade can be on this map. I mean, we saw it at least against a different team when they were in that losers bracket finals against Psycho Aim. Against those longer range weapons, how aggressive they were and how they were able to lock out those weapons. Can they do the same against Epitaph is going to be the real question. And another one is, can they continue to suppress Yoshi's Crab? Because the most important factor, I believe, at least for me, on that Mahi Mahi map was that those crabs didn't really find that as much value as they did on the other ones that Epitaph were able to win.
Yeah, I mean, this is a map that matches Lemonade's game plan. You know, they like a long straight map that's allowing them to see their opponent coming, but not letting that Pestiluna get a sneaky approach. And we'll see if they're able to make that work. Now, game number 1 of this best of 5. The team, as you said, the team that's able to get this victory will have the counter pick advantage, will have momentum going into this final set.
Yeah, and key comp switch here with the side of Lemonade. You have the Neo Splash for those trip strikes, so not another crab, but another tool for Lemonade to really play around. You have that flanking gal on this left side. Can it find the value? Just dancing around, trying to distract the pen a little bit. And you see it causing the pinch as well. That's something that these teams know how to do well. Causing those pinches, taking those 2-on-1s, but still, neither side really being able to get a meaningful advantage in that mid side, but maybe leaning more towards Epitaph now with that hammer clearing so much of that middle area.
Yeah, and that is still Epitaph moving around, painting around, and with an extra splat, they keep a lot of control. Can Lemonade push back in? I hear the strikes. They're gonna go on the zone, paint a lot, and they're able to apply penalty with 2 down. That's a very, very strong push by Lemonade.
very strong for sure, as now, again, pretty much reset back to neutral with Surely Lemonade at the very least, threatening that Epitaph lead, maybe even getting it here, investing those trip strikes pretty early to push up and move forward to just put as much space as possible in between Epitaph and the zone, and they will get that lead. Here comes the Crab yet again to see if they can cause that space, but still, time is ticking. 3 specials are available for Epitaph. The hammer is available. Cooler being popped early. You have the players going down, though, as acing is taken out. Yet again, another is found by the splash. A great change has been made there, with now only 15 ticks remaining. Now, desperation time, anybody trying to get into that zone, but it doesn't look like they will. Potentially, though, on that left side might be enough paint with everyone getting eliminated. It's just the pen to try to paint over, but barely holding on is Epitaph. Almost able to take over was Lemonade, but Epitaph lives to fight another day with still half the match to be played.
This is not over. There's more game to play. Huge lead by Lemonade. Epitaph pretty much needs a KO right here as Lemonade is flanking, going to the side, getting more and more splats. The splashdown right here is retaking so much space, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Epitaph is still in that fight, Rocket.
Yeah, and Pablo constantly on this Neo Splash, getting those picks that you don't typically expect a Splash to really go for, but the aggressiveness that they show, even though they have such an important special, they are not afraid to take these fights, and has really benefited how fast Lemonade is able to play with a player that provides so much paint and speed. And like, just as I'm speaking right now, they pop strikes, they start fighting a little bit, and yet again, they have another set of strikes here.
Yeah, more strikes coming, more points, but that's a lot. Everybody's dying all the time, everywhere. Not sure who will stay on top of this team fight, but it looks like Lemonade still has a lot of presence in mid as the zone is neutral. Whoever wins this fight will get back control, will get back the zone. And right there, that's 3 down on Epitaph. Epitaph not able to cap.
And now you gotta start thinking yet again, just trying to fight for survival is Epitaph, who have constantly found advantages in that mid area, but even as soon as they move forward, they just met a brick wall, and pretty much illustrated right there with acing trying to move around that left side, but being snuffed out by that pen. Luna is a very difficult weapon to kind of play on this map, especially if you're in a neutral situation. You want to be in those advantageous spots, but Epitaph haven't really found many opportunities to be in those spots. We have acing just trying to hold down this right side. 50 seconds left in this match. Numbers advantage in favor of Lemonade, and here come those strikes yet again from Pablo to retake that zone. This seesaw type of game will benefit Lemonade, and it seems like they are very content in just keeping it that way.
Yeah, and ooh, that's huge right there. Epitaph, they thought they were regrouping to prepare an attack, but no, they were still defending. They were still trying to hold, and Lemonade has taken control of their spawn right there. That's an extra fight for Epitaph before they can move back forward with just a few seconds left. That's going to be rough. They lost a lot of players, and they have no choice but to move forward. They need to paint.
Yeah, but it's just not enough paint there, as it felt like during the entirety of that game, felt like Lemonade was controlling the table and Epitaph was just fighting for any ground to try to stay alive, because off of they maybe only had one strong hold where they were able to get it down to their only real point total, which is around that 54 point total. They weren't able to do much else, as Lemonade just constantly applying that pressure, whether it be the strikes, whether it be the pen, whether it just be the constant aggressive flanks from the gal on the left side. Epitaph, it felt like, was just fighting on their back foot. So Lemonade, that's got to feel great carrying that energy over from that previous set and continuing it here in the bracket reset. But Epitaph, yet again, put in the position to potentially change their fate with their counterpick.
And they have their work cut out for them right now, because the more the games are going on, the more it feels like Lemonade is getting faster, is getting more at their ease, is learning how to play against Epitaph. Because Epitaph, they used to playing against a comp like Lemonade. That's a very classic comp, whereas Epitaph plays differently, knows they have the advantage of knowing their own matchup, but right now Lemonade is learning that matchup more and more and more. And oh, Rocket, it looks like we're going to go to a different map, a map we haven't seen at all today yet. Epitaph just counterpicked Humpback Pump Truck.
Interesting. Okay, so I feel like this map has similar elements to what an Urchint would bring, except the zone isn't that easily as capable. You have a very large zone in that middle area, but it still leans itself to those closer range type of fights, so could see the return of some Dapples here. Could see that for those cooler weapons. It's kind of hard to kind of gauge this, as yet we have yet to see how these two teams love to play it. Epitaph pretty much has, I believe, has pretty much stayed with the same comp throughout the entirety of this tournament run so far, and Lemonade has been the one that's been adjusting every step of the way. So kind of to what you were saying earlier, the longer the set goes on, the more Lemonade is starting to kind of pick up on what Epitaph is running, because eventually they will have found their answer. And it's seemingly like, at least from how these previous, like, call it 3 games has played out, Lemonade has definitely gotten better and better at handling what Epitaph's strengths are.
And Rocket, you know what weapon is very, very good on this map? Tri-Slosher.
Yes.
That Tri-Slosher is going to be a danger. Epitaph knows that their opponents are going to bring it. They know that Tri-Slosher is on the table right now. Epitaph will need to be alert to it, and there will be a lot of pressure to splat that Tri-Slosher before the Tri-Slosher can be comfortable, because on mid, a Tri-Slosher is a demon. On mid, a Tri-Slosher is very, very dangerous. We'll see how things go. Let's go. Game number 2, Lemonade is up 1-0 right now. And...
Oh. That is a very interesting comp here. Both sides have a Dynamo on the table. Both sides making adjustments. But I think the elephant in the room here is you have Lemonade bringing out 2 of those zaps, 2 chumps on the board, and that's going to be a true annoyance for Epitaph to deal with, I'm sure, with that amount of paint pressure. You see it already in this mid area.
I mean, it's even better than any Slosher. This is the best weapon of the map. No weapon gets a buff as big as Dynamo on this map. If you are good with Dynamo, bring it here. It works so well. And already it looks like Lemonade are making that Dynamo work. The Dynamo is pushing forward, going for more action.
Yeah, just so much paint presence and so much paint overall on the side of Lemonade. Just every single weapon on that side can paint, while on the other side with Epitaph, you really got to enable acing to get into the face of these zaps and really make that advantage count where they have that close range fightability. But yeah, you just have so many chumps just constantly poking away and forcing away. I mean, you see both of those zaps putting down chumps there and basically moving Epitaph out of the zone, hurting them, saying, yeah, no, this is ours now, just go away. Just constantly applying that bomb pressure, and we see it yet again to where Lemonade is able to hunker down into that zone area and just farm out these specials.
Lemonade right now holding the zone. They don't have penalty anymore. They are scoring more and more, but Epitaph is there to be in the fight, and now they're completely collapsing onto the zone. They know they need these splats before they can fade, before they can cap, and look, very patient. They're going in. Acing to the side is going to get the splat with the Luna, but here comes the answer by Lemonade. Lemonade is still around to simply counter push. Penalty was applied, but I don't think Lemonade minds that penalty very much as long as they can splat the Dynamo. They are taking control of mid.
Yeah, the weapons with both sides running that heavy splatling and Dynamo, it's going to really come down to these closer range weapons. The Gal and the Blaster on the side of Epitaph need to take out these zaps that can apply so much frontline pressure and provide so much speed to the rest of Lemonade. Acing going on this long flank to see if they can take out this Dynamo. At the very least dislodge it, but not able to find that pick. Phoenix still staying alive throughout that, and penalty points no longer a factor for Epitaph as they try to chip away at this lead, but can they hold on? the one-for-one trade with skills being taken out by that Dynamo can be very painful there, as both chumps utilize to immediately neutralize that zone back into Lemonade's favor.
These chumps bring so much paint and distraction. Like, they are so hard to handle for Epitaph right there. But it's certainly not over. Epitaph is still on the zone. There's 2 minutes left in the game, Rocket. That's more than enough to get the points. But they need to hold, they need to push Lemonade out. And Lemonade is there to fight them.
I feel like we're seeing a similar story play out, though, like in that previous Haugo game, where you have Lemonade just constantly poking away. And nice double from the Dynamo, by the way, with that vertical flick onto Skittles. But it's seemingly like Lemonade has been controlling the table and very much okay with playing the seesaw game, because they have the advantage in the middle area. Gal World managing to find one, quickly taken out by one of the zaps, and penalty points almost gone here for Lemonade but yet again, Epitaph is there for the quick counter. The main question and the major obstacle has been surviving the chumps, so just surviving the quick retakes that Lemonade has been able to build.
But that's 2 down onto Lemonade. It looks like Epitaph are finally able to get some ground, to be comfortable, to get some momentum. They have the positions, they have the presence, and they have a lot of things around. Incredible splat at the absolute limit of the range of the heavy splatling. That's a lead in the last minute. Epitaph are coming back.
Yeah, and the chumps use one after another, but the heavy splatling is right there to provide that paint support. Skittles goes down, though, so now the rest of these players need to hunker back into that zone. Your main painters are out, so Epitaph now just trying to win these fights. Really nicely done by World to stay alive on that left side. Back now with reinforcements. 20 seconds left, and a complete flipping of the script here for how this match was going to turn out. 15 ticks left. Lemonade's turn to now see if they can get anything going. You have the chumps, you have the specials available, but can you hold off this ferocious counterattack? You have the time available for Epitaph to get back into that zone. Overtime will surely be forced, but this overtime retake needs to hit. But Acing has found a potential hole in the back, finding 2, and here comes the rest of Epitaph to make sure they can get that success. But no! 2 players get mowed down by that zap. The potential retake has now turned into disaster. Not enough time potentially now for Epitaph to get back into that zone. The Dynamo painting so much as Lemonade claw right back and survive an Epitaph rally at the end to take game 2.
Not winning that overtime is going to cost Epitaph dearly. That could have been a 1-1, but instead it's a 2-0 for Lemonade. It's match point for Lemonade, and Epitaph, who were so close to being the Triton-Cup champion, now they are back to the wall. They're not allowed any mistake anymore. And this is, whatever happens, their last counterpick of the tournament.
Epitaph have been strong at dealing with Lemonade's counterpicks, but first they need to even get a game in this set so far, because Lemonade has really gotten their number, really been able to neutralize these players. And you saw there, like you were mentioning, this could have easily been 1-1, but in that crucial moment, you had 2 players go down to one of those zaps on that left side. Acing did a really nice job in providing that distraction with the hammer, but the follow-up execution was not clean, as when you have those players go down with not enough time, it's just not enough of a presence left in mid to really contest it, and then Lemonade was able to rally and really hunker down. So again, back to the drawing board to see what they can do. So we'll have to wait and see what their choice is and what they will bring. And it is a very, very familiar map mode from what we've seen. For the 3rd time, it is Splat Zone's Urchint Underpass.
I mean, can't blame Epitaph for counterpicking this. This is the map mode where they've beaten Lemonade twice. Gotta go back there, especially at this point of the tournament. Now is no longer the time to think, to find something new. They know they can make it work. They know they've been making it work. They need to make it work once again, but Lemonade. Lemonade is getting a bit too confident.
There's also that element as well, is you can't predict what Lemonade is going to do, and maybe this is the answer to why Epitaph has been so good on this map. Reminder, the last time these two teams played, it was a straight 100-0 in favor of Epitaph. Why? Because they were able to get in so fast, and what can halt that quickness? Well, it's a Dynamo, and you have the Ink Burst as well there to clean up some things and cause that distraction. Moving around this left side and causing that distraction themselves, immediately rushing at Skittles and already in the backfield, causing some eyes to turn and causing just so much presence in mid to be lost and in the hands of Lemonade.
Yeah, right there. Epitaph able to get back to the zone, but not able to capture it. That's a few extra points for Lemonade, as Epitaph is finally able to set themselves, and now with a few more splat acing will allow the rest of the team to go in, but Pablo is still running around with that brush, creating so much chaos. I mean, Epitaph can never really be safe when there's a brush to the side.
Yeah, and yet again, both these Dynamos just pretty much applying so much pressure that force Epitaph to be a little bit smarter in how these approach things, where else they're just going to get whacked in the head with it. There goes one of the Dynamos down, though. Skittles has been a key factor in being able to poke away at the pressure that their team is facing, but now they do also have to keep an eye on that Ink Burst. Now finding themselves the last player standing, has to flee, leading to fight another day. An opportunity does present itself now, though, with Lemonade losing a couple of their players, so they need to take advantage of this, and soon, because something that Dynamos have a hard time doing is moving up by themselves.
Yeah, Epitaph right here, moving as a team, taking back control, but they just lost 2 players, Rocket. Lemonade is already back in the fight, and I mean, Lemonade is running so fast, thanks to that brush, very much the tip of the spear, to allow them to constantly move back in, get in another fight. Now, Epitaph is still there to fight, but I mean, they need to find a way forward, and with 2 players down, it's just the Dynamos to defend right now.
Yeah, and it feels like now, Pat, is the best chance that Epitaph is going to have in order to gain as much space as possible, and you see it right there. Immediately, once those Dynamos go down, you have them moving forward, but I kind of wish they moved in a little bit further, but regardless, still advantage in the favor of Epitaph. You have now the pressure going in for Lemonade to see if they can find any space. That Ink Brush being the spearhead, and they do find 2 on the right side, so a lane has opened, but Epitaph right back at it with 2 picks of their own, with lead into their favor as well. That Dynamo somehow finding 2 out of that despite being 1 HP. Now time still ticking away at that point. Total will go into the favor of Epitaph, however, but Lemonade with these double Dynamos, a strong comp to defend with. Yeah.
I mean, Epitaph played it safe. They let Lemonade get their push back, but they still managed to secure the lead. And now they get into the fight. Now it looks like Epitaph is the team that's getting faster, that's getting stronger, and that's getting more and more presence. That's also punishing the brush. Epitaph, it's their map, and they are reminding us how much this is their map. Look at them go in. 1 minute and 20 seconds left, and Lemonade, I mean, they're able to get splats, but they need something big. They need to take control.
Yeah, never can count out Lemonade, however. You still have a minute left. These players still showing up on these left sides. 2-for-1 trade going into the favor of Lemonade. Now 1-for-3 as well, as all of a sudden now it's gotten a bit scary for Epitaph here. With that pretty much wipeout, you don't have the players there to be able to contest for the lead. This Dynamo sneaking up really nicely, and the Chumps there as well. Can't provide the space in between them in the zone. Time ticking down, 2 players down on either side. You have acing on this left side, potentially can get mowed down there, so they have to be careful. But is there enough paint in that zone? Really being the only player that can paint over it, with 4 players alive on the side of Epitaph. They will manage to stay alive. Still, though, with that wipeout, now is the time to push. Now you need to put in the space. Now you need to put in that pressure onto Lemonade. You cannot afford them any ground whatsoever as we potentially enter overtime here.
Yeah, they're no longer allowed any mistake. Lemonade, all they need to do is play Go Zone once and they get this game, they get this whole tournament. Epitaph is waiting, Epitaph knows the business, and with 2 down, a wipeout, that's it! They get the game, it's not over! 2-1, Epitaph is alive.
Yeah, but that was the closest Urchin Underpass game we have seen out of the 3, but Epitaph reminding us again, they own this map. No matter what Lemonade throws at them, they own this map, but it's only gonna get harder from here. Still backs against the wall, still 2 games to be played, and 2 counter picks await. As a matter of fact, one of them comes in immediately after that loss. It's Hammerhead Zones.
Yeah, not that surprising. But, Rocket, one thing to note is this Urchin game that we just saw was very different because it started with Lemonade having the upper hand, winning the fights, being in Epitaph's head, and it ended with Epitaph being the team that was learning, that was adapting, that was getting faster and more confident. This is the confidence that they need going into Hammerhead. The Epitaph needs not just to match Lemonade's ability to fight, they need to match their ability to adapt. And right there, that's what we just saw in that game. Now, of course, going on Hammerhead Bridge, we know that's going to be put to the test, to the absolute test, because this is a map where Lemonade is so dangerous.
Yeah, we did see in this previous set that this map was played. Epitaph was able to find some advantages, but Lemonade had found a footing and was able to rally and just neutralize anything that Epitaph was doing. So it's, again, like you mentioned, adaptations at this point. These teams know each other very, very well. This is the 3rd set that is played between both these sides. I'm sure by now they know their tendencies on an individual level, and Lemonade, every step of the way, has been changing their comp ups to give Epitaph a new look to maybe throw them off their game. But again, Epitaph, like you mentioned, it is their time to adapt. In what way it is, it doesn't really matter as long as they adapt. But we'll have to wait and see. Game 4, Epitaph still backs against the wall. Lemonade 1 game away from victory. Again, a new look from Lemonade. A very standard comp this time with that Dreadringer, Splash, and Gal.
Yeah, that Dreadringer will have the Reef Sliders. That means you cannot contain Lemonade. Lemonade will always have a way back forward. Between the Crab and the Reef Slider, they know they can push in. So Epitaph will need to not let Lemonade get comfortable at any moment. Right there, Crab Tank already activated, Cooler to support as well, but it looks like Lemonade is opening very, very strong.
Very strong, very much kind of up their alley, but immediately as soon as I say that, 2 down, so an opportunity for Epitaph to get back in control of that zone. Really force the issue, and whichever team is able to get in that first stronghold usually can play the game to their own tempo. Both sides having that Crab, so they both have specials that have the ability to sustain or change the tide here. Now Lemonade's turn to be the ones to see if they can do just that. Hammer is available from Acing. Acing, who has been a little bit more quiet in these games, just looking to see if they can find that advantage here with Lemonade just breathing down their necks, just constantly back into control of that zone, with either side not really having a meaningful lead in terms of points, but Lemonade trying to see if they can do so, but not if Yoshi is there for the quick picks, and a 3rd as well. Can they get the quad? Not quite, but still a lot of key picks to single-handedly flip the tide back into Epitaph's favor.
Yeah, and right now, all teams are still fighting for the zone. It's been a non-stop fight around that zone with nobody really able to really completely push the other team away. But it's Lemonade right now that's able to get more and more points, more and more presence, and all the pressure is on Epitaph. They need to win this fight, they need to go in, but they already lost 2 players. Wait, they're able to match the splats. Can they get the zone right now? Beautiful hammer! Acing absolutely punishing everybody. That's going to be control for Epitaph, and Epitaph is not wasting a second. They are moving forward, they are moving in, and Lemonade is forced to wait.
Yeah, you have to be careful with not going in too fast. You have the penalty points no longer being a factor for Epitaph. The crab being utilized as well to further delay this retake. You have the Reef Slider used pretty early. Can it find a pick? Yeah. It finds one on two. It doesn't find one though, as two players actually go down as a result of it. So these specials yet again will be delayed. You have Cooler coming up. That is really your retake special now, with all other specials being utilized already. But time is ticking down. Acing so close to a hammer. See if they can get it here. Can prove to be a very key X factor, as you have this gal pretty much trapped on the left side. Reef Slider forced out. A hammer does find one. They are taken out, however, as the last two players standing on the side of Lemonade are on that left side. 10 ticks left. 2 players alive on the side of Epitaph. Can they hold on for this onslaught that is Lemonade? You have the paints there, but it's not enough to hold, as Lemonade is able to retake and give themselves another fighting chance. Acing is there, though, for the picks, and back and forth fightings, clawing back and forth, both sides finding those individual plays, leads into Epitaph still having a strong control of the zone.
And right there, Lemonade applied penalty. They kept themselves alive, but it's still Epitaph that's in control. It's still Epitaph that is deciding the pace of the game. Lemonade pushing back in. They just lost 2 players and their specials. Epitaph is not done. Epitaph wants that victory and will not stop.
Yeah, hammer as well, almost finding a couple. You have 3 on that right side. Acing finds one with that Fizzy, and another goes down. That Reef Slider yet again not finding success, and it looks like that might be it. Not enough players alive. The pen going down. Acing, the hero of that game, and the rest of Epitaph rallying around them to get that game 4, and here we go again, Pat. A game 5 is forced. Epitaph facing down the barrel of elimination twice, claw right back with 2 of their own. And yet again here we are seeing another game between both these teams, but finally it will be the final one. Winner takes all.
Once again, another chance, another shot. Epitaph keeping it alive, keeping the dream alive. And I mean, I believe in Epitaph right now. I mean, they've been improving so much. They've been grinding this game, and now they get another shot at the crown. Can they do it though? We are going to Mahi Resort Lemonade. I mean, that's where we ended the previous set. We're going back there.
I feel like these 3 sets have had five maps at most.
Hey,
like it's been the same maps.
When you counter pick, and there's a few maps that these players like more than others. That's kind of par for the course.
Yes, and speaking of par for the course, that does make a lot of sense for Lemonade. When they don't pick 3 bows, they do really well against what Epitaph runs. We saw it in that previous set where they were able to constantly disrupt these retakes, constantly keep the crab from getting the value. You saw it. And also, most importantly, and kind of has been the key to Epitaph's success, it's a 2-part plan. Really allow Acing to get these aggressive positions and allow them to get in these flanks, and allow the crabs to get their value as well and go in with that crab. And when those 2 things don't happen, it is Lemonade that wins. When it does, it is Epitaph that wins. So that is going to be the real difference maker and who wins this game.
Yeah, and on the side of Epitaph, they are taking all their time to breathe, to discuss strategy, to put a few booyah, and let's get tiebreaker. That is the final game of this Triton-Cup 149. And we're going to see weapons that we expect, of course. Lemonade bringing back the blaster and the tri-slasher to play around these edges. That's a very, very good comp. Epitaph, of course. I mean, that's the Epitaph.
Yeah, Epitaph still same and strong before, maybe now bringing in a little bit of a different strategy from what they experienced previously, but looking strong off early, having that numbers advantage with Yoshi in that crab as well, constantly applying that pressure, and again, that's exactly their win condition, but here comes Lemonade in full strength, in control of that zone, seeing if they can find those picks necessary, but yet again, those frontline weapons, the Gal, the Blaster, and the Tri-Slosher all fall on the side of Lemonade, so a little bit more momentum back into the favor of Epitaph with acing, flanking around that left side. Can they find value? No, not quite, as still, it is just a brutal fight for that first true advantage in mid, and it does look like Lemonade is finally going to get that.
It is so hard to get a flank before the water drops. You have so much room. So little room, but Lemonade doesn't need much room right now. The Blaster is coming in, and that crab tank is in danger. They're completely surrounded. The water is dropping, and Lemonade right now is going so aggro. They're so far up, and it's working. Epitaph is hemorrhaging players, Rocket.
Yet again, Phoenix on that Blaster, just finding the picks that you want for Lemonade, and now yet again we find ourselves in desperate situations. 20 ticks left on the board, not a lot of time left to make do. Acing goes down pretty early, and here come the players for Lemonade. They can smell it. They know that they can just force these fights, and after a grueling 3 sets, finally a victor has been determined. Triton-Cup number 149. Your victors are Lemonade.
A good Lemonade to end for the heat. Stay hydrated. But that's Epitaph fighting hard, showing us that they can. But being able to is not enough. You need a bit more. Epitaph has to give the crown once again to Lemonade. Lemonade are your Triton-Cup champions.
A lot of props to both sides for fighting through those grueling sets. Epitaph almost being able to pull off the reverse sweep. Lemonade being able to force the bracket reset in the first place. And both sides being able to just bring out these such competitive games. It felt like every step of the way there was so much happening on our screens. Then it came down to the micro plays here and there, and in that decider game, Lemonade just had that little bit more of aggressive passion than what we saw. That Epitaph was just constantly being put on the back foot. So GG's to both sides, though. That was a heck of a tournament upper sets that we were able to see there, and again, lots of props to both sides, but Lemonade stand atop there. And still funny facts to just think about. This all potentially probably started because Lemonade decided to just run 3 bows, and then all of a sudden we ended up
hey, no. Epitaph beat Lemonade on their counter pick several times. Epitaph got to, these two teams played 14 games in total. One of these games was a troll. And Lemonade ended up on top, but that was close. One thing for sure, though, Rocket, is that Lemonade is reminding us that they are seed number 1, that they are very dangerous, and that Epitaph still has a bit more work to do if they want to match that firepower. And especially they have more work to do because next week will be Triton-Cup 150, which is going to be a big golden one.
For sure, so be keeping your eyes on that, though. But again, props to Epitaph for making Lemonade sweat it, though. It was so close during both of those sets. Both the bracket reset and grand finals went to game 5, so massive props to them and for bringing it almost home. They're all the way there, but I'm sure we'll see this rivalry reignited shortly. But with that being said, that will be it for us here at Dapple. Pat, where can the people find you?
Best way to find me is to remove the underscores that you can see and find me on the Blue Sky, where I post sometimes, where I don't use my socials much. How about you, Rocket? Do you have something to plug?
Yeah, you can find me at Rocket One there on Blue Sky. That's about the only spot you'll find me nowadays. Only other spot is if you're in the States. I am going to a local LAN, Deep Sea, Dallas, Texas. That will be the next LAN I'll be at. Be sure to keep your eyes on that. But that's all I have. Shoutouts to Naga for being our wonderful
Yay.
streamer. That will be it, though. See you next time for, like what you mentioned, Pat, Triton-Cup 150.
Bye-bye.